few seconds to kick in. Okay, good. Recording. Mohammed's recording has warnings. What are the warnings? Oh, it looks like yours hasn't started recording. Has it? Okay. Recording start delayed. Khairan. Okay. It is what it is, brother. Okay, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Listen, bro. I've got a question for you. Is your life interesting? No. Sometimes I think my life is boring, but then I get little glimpses of an interesting life, of what that would look like, you know? Of course, it's all relative, but had a few incidents recently. I just got back today from trying to get my car back. I mean, it's not even my car. I was borrowing a car from a friend, and the police picked it up. And I'll tell you, actually, it all goes back to the Algerian government or the Algerian consulate. I was going to Algerian consulate in Istanbul, okay? So we get there, and it's in a, pretty central place. You know what Istanbul is like. The streets are all very tight and stuff in the central area. So we're there, and there's no parking. And I know there's no parking around there, but last time I went, I drove around, I drove away from it, so I had to walk like 10, 15 minutes to get to it, but it's all good, But I was with my dad. My dad didn't want to do that. And he thought he found a parking spot. Turns out it's not a legit parking spot. So we parked there, and I said, look, I wouldn't park here, but the bureaucratic, yeah? The worst thing is, he said, معلش أنا نتحمل المسؤولية. I was like, oh no. So we left the car there. I mean, the thing is though, to what's the word? How do you say it? To defend his point of view, there were like 10 other cars parked there, So I don't know. But anyway, we go Algerian consulate. We basically get destroyed. Oh, you don't have this paper. You don't have that. You don't have that. Oh, where do I get that? Oh, Algeria. Course, man. I actually, the worst thing was though, because everything's about expectations. I went with good expectations, which I shouldn't have. That was my mistake. Because last time I went, the people were good there, They were quite helpful. They did say some ridiculous things like you have to go to UAE to get this and this paper. But anyway, I was like high expectations. So I'm just trying to get my, my kids' passports and stuff, They said you need defter a'ili, right? Like family book. Yeah, family book. I was like, okay, how do I get it? Where do I get it? They're like, oh, well, where do you get married? I was like, UAE. They're like, well, didn't you register your marriage with the Algerian consulate in UAE when you did that? I'm like, no. Like, why would I do that? Like, I didn't think I had to do that. And then they're like, it's like when you give that response, they're like, okay, khalas, there's nothing I can do for you. One guy last time, he said, you got to go to UAE and get it from there. And then now they said, either go UAE or you can get this, the funny thing as well, to get the kid's passport, you first need to get the kid's Algerian birth certificate, even though they're not born in Algeria, which is weird. So I was like, okay, cool. What do I do? They're like, you need this and this for the parents. I was like, okay, what do I need? Shahadat al-Jinsiyya. I'm like, what's Shahadat al-Jinsiyya? I don't have that. I have a passport. What's Shahadat? I'm like, where do I get that? Can you give me that? They're like, no, go Algeria to get that. I'm like, how do I go Algeria? My kids don't have passports. She's like, get what passport do they have? They have British. Okay, get them a visa and go Algeria. Anyway, this is standard. The thing is though, bro, this stuff, alhamdulillah, is very useful, I would say, because I speak, I've met a lot of people in Turkey who've moved here from US, from UK, from Australia. They're only used to living within that system where they're citizens, and B, they, it's maybe more organized and how do you say it, customer friendly or whatever over there, customer service and all that. So that's what they're used to, and I'm used to this. Okay, so we are not the same,
absolutely.
right? Like this is my standard. So anything, when I go UK, I actually look. When you have to get this kind of stuff done in the UK, it's literally. When I'm reading the instructions, I'm like, this is baby level. Like they've made it so simple and that's how I see it. Now, maybe for someone who lived in the UK their whole life, they'll see that as like normal, or maybe they even see it as difficult or complicated. But when I see the level of detail they give you, I'm like a 5-year-old could get a passport in UK, you know? But this is the level that I got used to. Like UAE, at least it used to be like this. I don't know about now. UAE, a lot of stuff is like that. And then Algeria, a lot of stuff is like that. So, you know, I'm kind of like used to this. It's just a fact of life. So I wasn't that disappointed in that sense because this is just what I'm used to. So yeah, I left empty-handed. You know what? The conclusion is always the same. The conclusion is, all right, let me speak to my family in Algeria, or let me speak to so-and-so who has a connection to get something done. It's always the same conclusion, man. Khairan. So we'll see. I'm trying to go to Algeria in the summer, you know, but I'm
got that issue.
I'll definitely go myself.
Visa thing. That's what makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, because Morocco don't need one. Does Tunisia need a visa for British people?
Tunisia and Morocco don't need a visa. So
right.
There was always the option of
Algeria's like got the borders up, bro. Exactly. None of these illegal immigrants, bro.
I mean, that happened to me. I told you when I went to Algeria, I was planning to go on my Tunisian passport, not realizing that it expired.
Okay.
It was meant to expire in like 6 months. And I was going, I was going and coming back in 2 weeks. So it wasn't like I was staying for months. But because it was going to expire in 6 months, they said no, it's not valid. I was like, but it's still valid. Like I still use it. So I sent my family over. My kids went on their Tunisian passports. My wife went on her Algerian passport with her dad and family and stuff. And I booked like a quick flight to Tunisia, got my passport sorted, and then went to Zaire from there.
Right.
But no, like, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless my dad, man, because stuff like this was like he was of the mindset to just get it done always, you know. So I was from whenever I can remember, since I was born, I've had a Tunisian passport, and my sisters, same thing. He would always we'd go to the embassy all the time to get them renewed, and he'd take us with him all the time, you know, every time to get us used to that kind of process.
Yeah.
To the point now, obviously, when he died, I was going to the embassy like every other week to try and sort stuff out. But now they know me and I've got their numbers and I can call them if I need to do something, etc. And I knew that as soon as my kids were born, straight away get on the passport stuff. So alhamdulillah, all my kids have got passports. And the same thing they asked me recently about. So in Tunisia, the Tunisian one, when you first do a passport the first time round, you don't need anything but the English birth certificate. But when you came to renew it, they asked me for the Tunisian birth certificate. I was like, I've never needed one. They were like, oh, you have to go to Tunis to get it. I was like, well, I'm not going to Tunis to get it. They're like, oh, we'll see what we can do. And then they just went like radio silence for weeks. And then I kept hounding them, and then they did it, regardless of the fact that apparently I needed a Tunisian birth certificate. So,
firstly, there's no logic to it. Secondly, like a lot of things are negotiable, you know.
But when you go over there, it's a different kind of fish. Like when you're in Zaire trying to do, or Tunis trying to do this stuff, that's when they take you swings and roundabouts. At least here, or in Turkey, it's one building, you know, the embassy, right? It's like go to this idara and then this idara.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Certain things are done with the taxman. Certain things are done at court. Certain things are done at the council. I'm sure there's more. Police station isn't it? Yeah.
Police.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But like I said, man, if you are only used to and set up to deal with, for example, British stuff in Britain, anything outside of that small country in the world, you're going to find difficult because your standard of what is easy and hard, what's complicated and not is, you know, limited to that scope, that context, right? Same would apply to me though. Like, so I said like, okay, this Algeria's, you know, way of doing things, or Turkish or UAE, like I'm used to that, right? But what if I now go to like flipping Ghana, right? it's going to be probably different. I'm going to even find that difficult, right? So there's different levels. But the point is, I see a lot of people who can't hack even Turkish level, which is better than Arab, I would say. You know, it's more organized. There's more of a process to things, but without the language, it's difficult. But anyway, I left the Algerian consulate empty-handed. I think I'm going to go early in the summer just by myself because my cousin's getting married. And then maybe while I'm over there, I could get this family book and then could bring the family over later on or something. It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
Like Tunisia and Morocco is not like that, but going to Algeria is always expensive because there's only often there's one airline only, and it's the Algerian one, and they just
it depends where you go.
price gouge.
Doesn't it? I remember when I went from Tunisia years ago, it was 50 quid, which was amazing, but I'm sure it was more.
Exactly, yeah.
England.
But like if you go to Tunisia now, like let's say it's, I don't know, £150, I'm sure going to Algeria a return would be 300, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, so
But
anyway, I'm looking forward to that actually. I'll just go for like a week or something.
I think for obviously,
I haven't been for
it's
so
not very
long.
accessible, obviously, for a lot of people. However, I do recommend people try and visit because I think it's an amazing country. I was really surprised, really pleasantly surprised. I didn't know what to expect, but I had a great time. You know, and I think obviously there's a lot of Muslims that go to Morocco, or I don't know about, but everyone goes to Morocco really. But in terms of like those who aren't North African, do you know what I mean? If they want to visit the region, they tend to go to Morocco. But I think Algeria is such an amazing place as well, and it's you kind of have that experience without all the tourists spoiling it. And when I say tourists, I mean Western tourists and stuff. So I think it'd be great for people to visit.
Yeah.
If they can.
It is good, bro. I like it. I'm trying not to be biased here, but you know what it is? It's the people.
Yeah.
The people make it. The people make it. Like the infrastructure is pretty bad. The bureaucracy is pretty bad. The nature. There are some amazing natural places, but a lot of them have litter and they're not that accessible. For example, they haven't organized. Okay, this is the path in. This is the gate. The security. There's a lot of that is missing, but the people, bro. Just the people. Like. My dad's visiting here. He's with me now. And obviously he's always comparing Turkey and Algeria. He's like, he just keeps saying like these Turks, like they just don't, like they don't want to help you. They're just not interested. Like, but in Algeria, it's like, you could imagine they would, even if this is the thing, in Turkey, obviously 90% of people don't speak anything but Turkish, right? That's how they are. That's fair enough. That's fine. However, if you didn't speak the language in Algeria, they would help you still with sign language, with whatever, it's like, and that's not just Algeria, that's many countries, but that's something that is a bit weird or specific to Turkey is without the language, it's just like as soon as you open your mouth and they realize you're not fluent, it's like they start building a wall, bro. They're just building a wall between you and them. Go away. But yeah, after we left the consulate, we go back to the car and it's gone. And it's gone. So if we parked it near some bank and the security guard for the bank, he's like, the police took it and stuff. But now, bro, what do we do? Because where did they take it? Like, I don't know. How would I possibly know? I've got the family with me and everything. I walked around a few places. This was like pushing my Turkish to the new limits. Like it pushed it to the limits, bro. I was using past tense a lot that day, so now it's solidified in my head. So I went to one police station that was on Google Maps, and it was being demolished.
Right.
So it's like it seems like they were moving to a new place, but there was a security guy there who works for the police. So I said, my car got taken. Where do I go? He said, I don't know exactly, but it's this general area. Like, imagine Istanbul, 20 million people live here. He's like, this general area. I was like, okay. Like, at least he was helpful and stuff, Yanni. I was like, okay. I was like, I can't believe him, though, fully, because he's just saying a general area. So I'm not sure. I went to this, I can't remember how, but this took 4 hours. Like, I was just looking at different places for 4 hours, Google Maps, this and that, go to different places. Eventually, I went to another police station. They gave me the whole, oh, if you don't speak Turkish, then get a translator.
Yeah,
I'm like, what do you mean get is there a translator on the side of the road waiting for me? I need to hire him or something. Anyway, you just got to push sometimes. And the thing is, I am speaking Turkish. I'm speaking bad Turkish. I'm speaking slowly, but I am speaking Turkish. And I know the words I'm using, they would get it if they bothered, yani. So I pushed them. And then they told me the same as that first guy, like it's in this general area. By then I sent my family home, and I was just with my dad. Even my dad was getting tired and stuff. So I just, I guess we called it a day. We said, okay, at least we know that we gotta go to that general area, or that's a place to try. And of course, it's not my car though, innit? So later I found from my friend whose car it is, he said in his government, because in Turkey you have a government app where all the government services are in one app. It's pretty good. So he got notified that he got a fine, and then I found out that it should tell you in the app where the car has been taken, but it didn't say it for him. So I was like, damn. And then it was like the weekend and this and that. And anyway, today I went to this general place that they told me to go. I found a police station there. I beefed with one guy. He told me it was in a certain car park, but he said someone else has taken it.
Okay.
I'm like, someone else took it. I'm like, this is nuts. This is crazy. So then I went to that car park. I was literally, that's what I'm saying. You have to have the right expectations in your head. Just the fact that the police admitted that they taken it and they gave me somewhere to go, I was like happy, bro. I'm like, I've got a destination at least. So I went to that place, and then my friend of a friend, I spoke to him because he speaks fluent Turkish. He said, look, bro, because it had been given to a car park, a non-police car park, like someone who just charges people to park there. So he's like, look, bro, I was going to invest in a car park. I was going to buy a car park, like get into that business. And I found out it's all mafia. He's like, you got to watch out. These guys are going to, scam you. I don't know what they're going to say. So I was like, okay, what do I prepare for here? Like, and you got to remember, when I first came to Turkey, everyone that first come to Turkey, maybe some tourists who visited have had this experience. You get to like the cashier at a shop, or you get to like security guard, and you realize at that point that there's no words I can use that they will understand. Right? Like no English, like nothing, like it's a very strange situation to be in. Of course, like I don't have zero Turkish, so that's better, but it's very awkward and you just can't say like anything. Anyway, I went to the place. I told him the number plate, and he had it, alhamdulillah. He had the car. He's like, yeah, you need to pay me this much. They charged like daily for keeping it there, obviously. But it was not terrible, bro. It was probably, because it was there for like 4 days in the end, 4 or 5 days. It was the equivalent of like £6 a day. Can you imagine that in the UK? It'll probably be like £50 a day or something in the UK. The police fine is separate, but even the police fine, it was about, I think like 13, 14 pound. Again, very reasonable. So this guy, I just paid the guy, and he's like, he insisted, and I had to fight with him over this as well. He wants me to pay half by card because I don't really carry cash. He's like, okay, pay this much by card and then pay the rest by cash. I'm like, I don't have cash. He's like, go to the ATM. There's no ATM around there. I had to walk a long way. But obviously, it's very standard. They're avoiding any electronic payments in it for tax reasons. So while I'm there, though, I'm paying the guy this and that. The police are just dropping off car after car after car that they picked up. So that obviously kind of confirms it's a mafia operation, because who's going to have the connection to get that police contract where they're using you to store all the cars? You're charging all these cars a daily rate, and they just drop every probably less than 5 minutes. Every 3 minutes, dropping a new car off. So we paid the guy. But the mad thing is, because I was worried that we wouldn't be able to get the car because we don't own it. Bro, the guy did not care whatsoever. If you told him the number plate, you paid the guy, he's letting that car
of
go.
course, yeah.
So, alhamdulillah, we got it afterwards, and I just got back from that. So that's another work day
So
wasted.
if you ever need a car, bro, you know where to go. Just go to that car park and
Absolutely, yeah. Just pay the fine, and you've
pick
got
one
a
out of the
car.
crowd.
Oh, yeah, obviously you need the key
Yeah, maybe,
probably to, unless you're good at picking these things.
maybe.
But yeah, it just made me think about, you know, like for me, that was not terrible. Like I was thinking someone's just taken it. Like someone said, that's my car and they've taken it. Like anything can happen. And like my mind goes to like, this could be worse. It's like always could be worse. But
It was
yeah, this is just
stuff
some of the
like
things
that. Yeah,
you
definitely.
deal with.
Like I always thought about things like that when I'm in Tunis. Like I rent cars a lot and I drive to the capital and it's like 2 hour drive or whatever. But I've always wondered like if I break down in the motorway, what do I do? Like who do I call?
Yeah,
I haven't got
yeah,
a clue who to call or what the process is or where I
yeah,
even am because it's not like there's
yeah,
much signage on a
yeah.
motorway to even say this is where I am.
Right.
I always think, okay, maybe I'll call my cousin and he'll just tell me who to call or send someone or whatever. Or call the
Yeah,
guy I
yeah.
rented the car off of and maybe they'll send someone.
Because a lot of these countries is just based on how do you say it? Like inherited
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah,
So like in the UK, there's information about everything
yeah,
online or whatever, right? Or there's a hotline. So you don't need to know any person. You can find everything online. But in like Turkey, Tunisia, it's like you just know this. Like because it's like kind of assumed like, okay, you grew up in this country, so you must have heard of your cousin going through
pretty
this
much
before or your brother or
life
your friend.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think that's what makes
exactly. But
that's the kind
yeah.
of experience that makes a man, bro. I think a lot of people talk about
Hmm.
hijrah and stuff and they try and find the most convenient place to move to. Um,
Hmm.
if you're really about it, you've got to entrench yourself in these challenges.
Hmm.
Um, even like, and we're talking about ourselves. I mean, Turkey's a bit different, but we speak the languages and we still kind of struggle.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember my
Yeah.
dad like going to Tunisia and still struggling with some stuff, even though he's born and bred there. But because he's been out of it for so
Yeah.
long, if you're not there all the time, learning as things go along and having that kind of life experience, you kind of get stuck. But
Hmm.
as you said earlier on, this is why it's important to be well connected, isn't it? And to engage with
Hmm.
people. I'm sure you've kind of
Hmm.
relied on a lot of connections whilst being in Turkey this long, especially in the beginning.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. When I came here, I knew one person, but he's very like well connected
yeah,
person. So he helped
yeah,
me a lot. He helped me a lot. And yeah, it's true. Like, like within like let's say the English speakers in this kind of area, there's basically half of them will like we have regular meetups, we have different durus and stuff, and they'll come to that. And it's in those settings where you'll hear of, oh, there's actually this rule, or there's this, or you can do this, or this is a solution. For those that don't come
yeah,
to that and they're like, oh, I'm busy working, I'm busy with family, those guys, those are the guys that I hear about later that they got this big problem that could have been solved if they just knew this simple
yeah,
solution, right? Or like they left Turkey not because their residency was denied or something, but because they thought like they couldn't stay, or you know what I mean. So there's always those two types of people. So it's sometimes, sometimes guys we feel like let me just put my head down and get on with my work and do what I've got to do. But I do really recommend like once a week meet up with the guys. Obviously good company, but meet up with people once a week and just you might leave thinking like, what did I learn? But there are always little
yeah,
things. Especially I think when you're in a foreign country, that's the main thing as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's mandatory. Really, it kind of extends to the wisdom of men going out and socializing, quote unquote,
Hmm.
with fellow men because I think they benefit more and bring more back home in terms of knowledge and
Hmm. Yeah. This is the wisdom of the dirty shabby cafe with cigarettes and
absolutely. I was
espresso,
thinking
bro.
that. I was thinking that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of negatives with that, but there's also positives. So everything in moderation.
No, to be honest, most of that is a load of rubbish, but yeah, now
Yeah,
and then.
absolutely.
I remember around when I first went to Algeria, like maybe when I was like, maybe it was like 2001 to my cousins, two of my cousins, typical, they didn't have jobs, right? They're just like trying to, the thing is, they were not even making money like this. They were just, you know what they were making? They were just having some dignity, right? So they were not making money, but they had a little stall. So imagine like a little table, yeah? Like not even a normal sized desk, like maybe half of that. They had that with wheels, right? We call it like babla, basically, where they have wheels and they put it on the side of the street, and they used to sell little sweets and cigarettes, yeah? Allah yaghfir lahum. So they like one of them actually went to uni, but he couldn't get a job. So they just used to sit all day. Yeah. Can you imagine? All day at this this table, and they used to sell not like packs of cigarettes, just single cigarettes, and that was like what they would do. Like, but when I was sitting there and I was like putting together the money, I'm like, these guys are not making hardly anything off this, but it's just something like to do, I suppose, something to say that I'm doing something, Yanni. So good for them in the end, because yeah. So forgot why I was saying this.
Keeps them out of trouble, I guess, doesn't it? Keeps them busy.
Yeah, definitely. There was a point to this whole story. but yeah, no, that was it. So these two guys, they used to just sit there, and the thing is though, they wouldn't just sit there and like do nothing. They would always have a friend or two with them. So that's like maybe a more positive hangout than the cafe ones. But yeah, there was always like, that shows you how many young men are just got nothing much to do in Algeria. There was always 2, 3, 4 people just chilling.
That's the thing, isn't it? Well, it just shows you that I think a lot of them just choose not to do things. There is a lot that can be done, surely.
Yeah.
There's like a choice, isn't there? And I hear that sentiment a lot in Tunisia. Like, there's a lot of, because of people are highly educated, sorry, so they'll study for a long time, but they won't be able to find the jobs in the fields that they're after. But they will refuse to work lesser jobs or things that they believe is lesser than them.
Yeah.
So they will spend all their time in cafes, as opposed to, well, there's field work going on at the moment. You could do that until you find something. Well, no. I studied. I went and did the bark, and I did this.
Yeah, but when you speak to them, they'll be like,
So they, it's a shame. I wish there was a culture change there, because yes, you can.
Well, that's the biggest change that needs to happen, And like I do see people who are, whatever you want to say, humble or whatever, enough to swallow that. Like a cousin of mine graduated, I think he studied like business administration. Of course, part of it though is you got to choose what to study properly. You can't just study like what you want to study or what you're good at. You have to look at the country and think, basically you got to look at the country and think, where is the government investing? Because if you're not getting a government job, it's tricky, right? But you got to look at what's available, and based on that, you got to thingy. Because he did business admin in uni. Now, the only people that hire it, like that value those skills or that knowledge, are like medium to large size businesses, and there just aren't that many of them especially outside of the big cities. So, it's tough, Yanni, to be honest. If you're gonna study medicine, okay, you're gonna study what's the word? Pharmacology. Like, okay, these things, like, they're needed. Even maybe like agricultural engineering or architecture. These things, Yanni, if you graduate with as an architect, you could set up your own practice. You could work with an architect maybe, but there are some things it's just tough. So anyway, he graduated from that, and it must have been at least 5 years of doing either nothing or like just, his dad had a little shop. He would just work at that shop, you know what I mean? But then eventually he just got a taxi, and now he's a taxi driver. And until now he's a taxi driver, and he's getting, actually that's the cousin who's getting married. So, yeah, that's good. Like that got him somewhere, isn't it? And he's actually able to get married. I'm sure it's a struggle to get married, but he's getting married. And he's probably 36 or something. So that's the kind of delay that happens as well in the country. Like people are not getting married until that age, men at least. And then one of my cousins who was selling those cigarettes, I was saying, because he's got like, he's probably the most hardworking person I know in Algeria. And he got a job in a shop, stationery shop, but he was so hardworking and he's like proactive that he ended up like running that shop and getting like profit share. And then he had a fight with the owner, like, the owner's son was going to take over the shop and he didn't get on with him well or whatever. So now he started his own stationery shop. He's got all the connections of the suppliers and everything because he was so proactive in going to this city, getting the stuff, going there, doing this. So he's now got his own shop. So he's done well, financially. But it shows you, I think, there's a lot of opportunities if you work. But a lot of people don't work. A lot of people, it's a very easy excuse. Like in England, you can't say this so much. But in Algeria, it's very easy to say there's no jobs, because that's the well-known fact, right? But it doesn't mean you can't, find stuff. Most of it's going to be not an official job, like more just like hustle kind of stuff. But it leads to stuff sometimes.
Absolutely. But the pressure to perform is so great and grand, especially like you mentioned, marriage and stuff. So many people I've spoken to in Tunisia, they get married and they have this huge wedding, and you're trying to do the maths in your head, like, how did they afford this? And then you realize later on, I mean, they might tell you themselves, they took out a massive loan and now they're like having problems. Like they basically start their marriage off in an immense debt, which generally speaking, the women are very happy to have a huge wedding. Oh yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Oh, you did the house for me. It's exactly what I wanted. Oh, he has a car. This is exactly what I wanted. And then obviously when the honeymoon phase is over and the husband can't get you that nice outfit or can't take you to see your friends or can't take you on holiday or can't take you because he's got so much debt to pay, that it causes problems in the marriage. And I see that time and time again in Tunisia. I see it time and time again where there's marital problems, mainly because the man just can't afford to spend on his wife because he's got so much debt. I remember speaking to one person and just trying to do the maths, and like half of his salary goes to pay this debt off. Every time he gets paid, he has to split it in the middle. That goes straight to the debt collectors, and the rest is whatever he can manage.
Yeah. And already the salary is probably not high. So
of course.
You imagine like if you told people in the UK, let's say someone in the UK who's living on, they're getting like 40K a year, tell them now live on half of that. They'll say it was impossible. So what about in Tunisia?
And generally, these are people who, a lot of them I've spoken to at least, who have spoken to me about this. They're people who are already living with their parents. So that, this one guy lives with his, parents, and his wife lives there as well, and his kids live there. Imagine if he was renting, bro. And that was one of the arguments, was like the wife wanted to leave and rent a place, right? Which I'm sure he'd love to do, but he physically can't afford it because he owes so much because of the wedding itself. And it's like this cat and mouse game of, do you get married to someone who has an expectation? I mean, if everyone in that society or that village or that culture has an expectation that this is what a marriage needs to be, this is what a wedding needs to be, and to even get married or to even discuss the thought of getting married, you have to meet that threshold, because what will the people say? Everybody else has had a big wedding. What will the people say? You do that, you finally achieve that, and then you're dealt with the stress of actually, we haven't got enough money to It's crazy.
I wonder how many generations this lasts for. Like, I'm sure it gets to a point where it clicks, like, okay, I'm not doing that with my daughter, kind of thing.
Like, I'll be honest, like, so in Morocco, for example, I have family members that got married, and as far as I'm aware, I didn't go to their weddings, but from what I hear from my family and what I hear from my mum and stuff, they deliberately decided not to have a big wedding. They deliberately decided to keep it like small, and I'm sure that benefited them on a financial basis. Tunisia, I'm not so sure about, but like I said, different areas, different norms. It's not just.
I have heard in Algeria of people doing like group weddings where they'll do like maybe 4 people get married in the same celebration, and even like charities, I think, pay for it and stuff. So I've heard of that. Obviously, that has its stigma, I'm sure, but it does happen, Yani. I don't know how common it is. I even heard someone getting married recently, and the girl's family, she said, we don't want anything from Mahar.
In Algeria.
So
Okay.
yeah, so there are things like that.
Inshallah khair, and I hope that, our generation as parents kind of see that even over there. And you do see themes like this. You do see the same sort of stuff that maybe we talk about as kind of like the diaspora in terms of this kind of stuff. I start seeing it from content creators who are in North Africa, and they will speak about this stuff and they will raise it, and it's not just completely a
Mm,
no-go discussion.
mm,
Um,
mm.
yeah, I'm sure every man would love to to be accommodated to in that regard. I just don't know how many like fathers of sometimes not even the fathers, actually fathers of daughters. It could be the mothers. It could be just the women within that family.
It's only the mothers.
Okay. I didn't want to be such an absolutist, but yeah, maybe. Probably.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, may Allah make it easy.
It's very
May Allah
petty.
make it easy.
I mean, the other thing is, bro, I'm going Morocco, inshallah, in what is it? A few days, 5 days,
Oh,
inshallah.
brilliant. Brilliant. Whereabouts?
Yeah.
Hey,
Tanja.
look to the jungle. First time, yeah?
Yeah, first time.
Awesome. You go with family or you go with friends?
Neither. I'm going for work. My business partner, Mohamed, he moved to
Did
Tanja,
he?
so we're,
From
yeah.
where?
So
From
we're doing it
England?
over there. From
Oh,
Bursa.
Turkey. Okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah, maybe we should get him on in a few months or whatever when he's settled to discuss it
Mm.
because I'd
Yeah,
like to
okay.
hear his thoughts because that is one of the. I always say to my family, like, if I could pick anywhere to move to that wasn't Tunisia, I would
Yeah,
I would go to Stanja. Even though, even if you
yeah.
gave me the access to like UAE and you gave me access to, okay, maybe if you said Saudi, I'd have to say Saudi only because I want to go to Mecca and Medina as
Mm.
much as possible. But yeah, if I had to pick, it would be Tanja. Which
Mm.
reminds me, rewinding back to what we were talking about earlier about paperwork and stuff. Apparently, I've got the ability now to get Moroccan citizenship through my mum, which wasn't a historic, like, I think you couldn't do that before. But because I'm over 18 and all
Mm.
this stuff, apparently it's a very long-winded process. So we will
Oh,
see. And obviously, if I can do it, then I'd like my kids to be able to have that as well. Um,
okay. Rack up those passports,
triple national,
baby.
baby. Yeah, that'd be great. Oh my God, if I had Moroccan citizenship, that'd be so good. Because maybe I could go Tangier one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, by the way, you can live there on a British passport very easily
Yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still
Yeah.
very tied down with Tunisia and going back and forth. I need to book another flight at some point and go because I've still
Yeah.
got unfinished business
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I mean, I don't see myself, if I'm going to retire one day, whatever that means, it's
Mm.
very likely it'll just end up being in Tunisia. Um, and I'm not going to wait until like retirement age because that's ridiculous. That's insane. It's like 70 something. No, 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 no. I think when my kids are old enough.
Oh, like
Yeah,
in
when
the
my kids
UK.
are old enough and they're
Yeah.
working and they're looking after themselves, then I can really pick a place and you know. But we'll see. We will see.
Need some lemon trees and
Oh,
orange
the
trees,
dream.
olive
The
trees.
dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. How long are you in Tanja for?
Well, just 1 week.
It's gonna be one of the greatest weeks of your
Just
life.
1 week.
How long has he been there?
It, I want to say 2, 3
Okay,
months.
yeah, that's enough to kind of show you a few cool areas.
I was a bit like, I didn't speak to him too much about the details of it, but I was a bit surprised at the cost of living there. Like the kind of things that everyone would be paying the same for, like bills, internet bills and stuff like that. It's more than I
Really?
expected. It's like £30, £40 for internet, stuff like that. So that's surprising. But yeah, one thing he was saying is annoying is in Turkey, you can at least use Google Translate. But in Morocco, like, it's only got Fusha Arabic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
should.
But the thing is, like, what I remember about, like, Algeria is if you speak Fusha, assuming someone's, like, finished school at least, maybe uni, I'm not sure, they're going to understand your Fusha. They're going to be able to reply in some level of
Yeah, I
Fusha.
mean, you'll be all right there, I think, because I think there's a lot of similarities between Algeria. As blasphemous as that sounds to some people, I see.
No, I would be fine,
I think there's a
definitely,
lot
yeah.
of similarities. I definitely find Algerian
No, because I'm from West
Oh,
Algeria as well, which is,
brilliant.
very
But
similar.
sometimes you just
So,
won't like. I remember getting a haircut. I might have told this story already, but I remember getting a haircut in Morocco and trying to ask how much it is afterwards, and just having this battle with the guy, thinking I'm saying the right words, but I'm not.
what do you
In
say in
Tunisian, we say
Tunisia for how much?
Qaddesh, Qaddesh, yani, how
Good dash.
much?
Okay. Yeah.
But obviously in Maghreb they
Yeah.
say bshal, and
Yeah.
I know that, but I couldn't remember in my head
Mm.
which one was which because obviously I speak both. And I was just having this battle with this teenage boy, young boy, and he just couldn't, he didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, ah, I'm losing my mind. And then eventually we kind of figure it out. I give him money. I'm walking down the road, and then it just hits me. I'm like, oh, just said the wrong word all that time. So yeah,
Mm.
it's a challenge, but it's a learning experience.
But that's crazy. Like that shows that they, yeah, I guess they're not aware of any accent other than their own
This was
accent.
probably before like social media was like that
Yeah.
popping. I think now you'd probably find it a lot more because now like I say all the time, my thing's quite tailored to North Africa. I'm getting North African videos all across the board: Libyans, Tunisians,
Yeah.
Moroccans, you know,
Yeah.
Algerians especially. So I think there is a lot more interconnectivity, at least on the online space,
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
North Africans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
In I know quite a bit of Moroccan words. I think because I've had friends and stuff Moroccans, and it's again I'm from west of Algeria. Even though we do have some differences, like in Morocco they say mizyan, we don't really say mizyan. They say bhal bhal, we don't say that. We say kif kif. They say bezzaf,
Yeah,
right, in Morocco? Yeah. So yeah, we say bishhal as
right.
well. But it's like, I don't know, bishhal, it's probably because I've lived in different places. But if someone says Gaddash, I'm going to
Really?
understand that straight
Okay.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But I remember once in the Algerian consulate in Dubai, I told the guy, because in my small village, not village, but the town I'm from in Algeria specifically, to say when, we say fawak.
uh,
We say fawak. Okay. So I was telling the guy fawak, fawak. He did not understand. And he's Algerian as well,
really?
of course. And then I'm like, yeah, this is not working. And then he's like, oh, you mean
وقتاش يعني
waqtash? And then I was like,
فوق
yeah,
في
yeah.
أي
So,
وقت يعني
in Wahran, they say
وين
winter for when.
وين وقتاش you so yours is like based on في أي وقت but you've just kind of made it فوق
Yeah, exactly.
yeah man
If you break these
oh
things
yeah there's
down, you're going to realize
100%
it's all from
100%
Fusha. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember like where I'm from in Tunisia it's quite rural so when I have gone I remember staying a week in Nerbil which is more of a I don't know, fancy area, I suppose. Definitely fancy. There was like some very like blonde hair, blue eyed Tunisians living there, right? And
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what that means. It just felt they were actually blonde hair, blue eyes, but they also lived in like these very nice houses and stuff. And I was like, oh, they spoke really posh. But every time I speak to them,
Mm.
they would just laugh at me. I'm like, what's going on? And they're basically like, you sound like a hillbilly. I'm like, oh, well, that's where I'm from. But you wouldn't know that because you're not sure of
Mm.
those kind of dynamics there. But yeah, like they will say
Mm.
they will speak with a calf more. They will speak with a calf. I speak with a ge instead of a calf. So
Oh,
like
right.
Gaddesh,
Mm.
Gaddesh maybe, but I
Yeah.
say ge. Rezgi is
Mm.
my name, but
Hmm.
Rizqi is probably what they would say somewhere else, right?
Right. Mm.
Stuff like that. So trying to think what else. Like you said, yeah, you've got obviously different areas as well would probably use completely different. Algeria is massive, so I'm sure, and obviously
Exactly.
you've
Yeah.
got the Amazigh of Qbail there, for example. That's a completely different kettle of fish. Um, Not even speaking
Mm.
Arabic there, so you've got that mixed into it. I remember, like I said before, going into
Have you been there?
I went to
Yeah.
Tizu Izu, which is I think an area. Yeah,
Yeah. And what did you find there? Like, are people like in the street, like in the shops, they're speaking
yeah,
Tamazight
I'm
or
pretty sure I
Arabic?
mentioned to you like all this, all the Arabic signage was ripped off and removed. So like there were street signs and
Mm,
road
yeah.
signs, national road signs and stuff, and they're all like graffitied over in this particular area. The Arabic parts of it was all graffitied over. I
Yeah.
remember one of the family members, one of my in-laws, was like, "Try not to speak any Arabic while you're here," and I was like, "All right, I guess I'll just speak
Mm.
English then." Do you know what I mean? So I just made it out like I was like an Algerian, like living in England. Um, but yeah, it was quite strange, and like I could tell it was a completely different area because all of Algeria was quite where I was at least in it was quite conservative and stuff. But then when I went to this mountainous Tizi Ouzou area, there was just one little area where there was like alcohol adverts and stuff, like a billboard for alcohol or like an open alcohol shop and stuff. And I know that that doesn't fly everywhere else. Like you wouldn't find that everywhere else.
Hmm.
But this particular, obviously, I'm
Hmm.
not saying that they're you know all the Amazigh are like that.
I think there's like a small movement of
Yeah,
those
there
kind
is
of
going to be
people. Yeah.
those that are not religious or those that aren't necessarily considering themselves as even Muslim. Some of them, but it's a small minority, and I think I just happened to be in this area where this minority was
Right.
was
Right to the
went to
wrong
the wrong
neighborhood.
neighborhood. Um, yeah, man.
Yeah, there's like there's obviously the Europeans do what they do, right? Which is they hijack these movements like nationalist movement or independence movement. So obviously there is a Qabaili or Berber kind of independence movement or whatever, but I'm sure a lot of them are just, how would you say it, normal and like Muslim and all that. But then the French, I know, they try and empower the group that is open to the
Yeah,
French side of things. And I heard before in Ramadan they were doing like eating outside in the street to like provoke people, and so it's this micro group of people,
yeah,
I
and it's a
guess.
classic kind of divide and conquer technique that is always used because
Yeah,
the
exactly.
West will use or any outside enemy I say enemy, whatever
Yeah,
competitor, whatever, will fund and kind of use these little segments to agitate the wider population. They do it everywhere. They
yeah,
do it everywhere.
exactly.
Um, Morocco, on the other hand, I remember seeing like a lot more integration. Like they have their own TV channels, all the signage everywhere. Like there was this big push to kind of unify
Yeah.
everyone, not necessarily
Mm.
Arabize, but like as where there is Arabic, there's also
Yeah.
the
No, Morocco is different like
yeah.
that. Yeah, Morocco has a lot more Tamazight, and there's multiple languages, isn't there? Of the because there's Amazigh. There's like four, I think, groups of Amazigh, right?
Possibly. I remember
Yeah, there's like Tuareg, I think, is included
down south
inside,
they are.
and then you have who else is the damn the names are that's quite embarrassing actually. The names are running away
Hey, who
from me,
knows, bro?
but yeah, I haven't had too much
No.
interaction with them. So.
Yeah, I mean it'd be interesting going back and looking at your heritage. I don't know if you ever did. You didn't do a DNA thing, did you? Because you're
DNA
yeah,
now,
too
but
untrusting.
yeah, yeah, but someone in my family was trying to do a family
Yeah,
tree. It's a bit tricky, but I think that they only got maybe 4 or 5 generations
yeah,
back. I think with colonization, it's tough. A lot of the names and stuff got changed, and maybe records got lost. But maybe it's
yeah,
possible.
yeah,
It's all from memory anyway. It's like asking your grandparents or
yeah,
whatever, like, what do you remember about
yeah.
so and so? But yeah, so what do you, I don't know, is there anything you recommend I check out in Tanja? Any food I should
Do you
try?
know what? I think because I don't think you're going to find anything like that's too different from what you're used to. Considering you've got experience in the UAE and you've got experience in Turkey, I don't think you're going to see it as like, oh, this is wildly different. Because even when I was in Algeria, the capital, I was like, oh, you've got really decent
Mm,
infrastructure here. Like I remember going in the metro and it was like spotless. It was so good and clean um, and modern.
mm,
I was really blown away. And that is the
mm,
kind of vibe I got from Danja. I've heard it's actually developed a bit more since I've gone. Maybe I went 5 years ago or something. I can't remember now. Um,
mm,
but for me, it was just being in a North African country, and this is before Zaire, but being in a North African country that is like that. Um, I remember the restaurants were quite nice. Seafood obviously is quite nice there. I don't know if you're into seafood. Um,
mm.
But I
Yeah.
think like you'll just see like there's a really nice masjid there as well. I think you'll just see this nice balance between somewhat conservative culture and modern amenities, right? without having to
Mm.
delve into areas that are like full of tourism in terms of like Western tourism and stuff. You will see it every now and again, and I think it's
Mm.
definitely got more popular.
Yeah.
So I remember nobody really knew about Tan Jaqabal, but now I just hear it all the time. The fact that Muhammad's there shows that he's obviously heard the good news and decided to go over, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. There are like gated communities where there's a lot of like
mm,
French Moroccans, French Algerians, maybe converts as well who have moved over there.
yeah, it's
So
definitely
yeah,
changing, isn't it?
but Tanja has that some sort of Spanish heritage, right? Because the Spanish controlled that area in
Yeah,
the
so
past.
everywhere I'm from in Morocco is like that. So if you Tanja is not far from Laraish, which is where I'm from. Uh,
North,
yeah, Alzila
basically.
is close to there as well, which is really nice. If you can go those directions, I would really recommend it. But definitely
Mm.
a lot more Spanish influence there, even cuisine wise. You know, a lot of Spanish
What's that thing called?
pastilla. Yeah, if you can have
Bastila?
that, the fish one or the
Mm.
chicken one, mate. My sister makes it
Mm.
now. So good
Mm.
because my sister married a Moroccan.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
obviously developed a lot more Moroccan cooking, right? Not that she
Mm.
didn't have it before, but she's
Mm.
definitely like So she
Mm.
made it once, yeah,
Embraced.
definitely embraced it more, and it was a good decision, man. It's a good decision marrying her off to a Moroccan because that is an art that could be lost in the family one day, you know, because we're kind of
Mm.
half half.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think it's sometimes it's good to kind of keep it within the family.
Tunisia is so small; it easily gets overshadowed.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I found a statistic the other day that Tunisia's arguably sometimes more Italian than Italians in terms of like pasta. Like they're the second biggest pasta eaters on the world after Italians. Yeah, and
Really?
yeah,
Mm.
I wouldn't argue that in the slightest. It's just the go-to. It's the go-to thing. Yeah,
Really? So that is a difference. Like when you went to Algeria, you probably noticed a lot less
yeah.
pasta then, right?
I did have it once, but you know, I think it's because it's the melting pot in the capital. You're going to find everything, but it certainly wasn't
Mm. I think in Algeria, pasta is more of a modern
really.
thing, you know. It's not from any sort of influence. It's just like everyone in the world
Yeah,
pretty much has
yeah.
pasta now, you know what I mean? That's what I understand anyway. Probably Libya also has that Italian
100%. Yeah, they have to.
influence. I met an Algerian here in Turkey recently, and bro, I like it. I'm not gonna lie. He's got he's from what's it called? Wed Souf, also known as Luad, which is on the border with
Yeah.
Libya. It's near Libya and Tunisia really, and he's got the accent like Libyan slash Tunisian
Yeah.
accent. It's
Yeah.
pretty good accent to be honest. It's a good
Have you
accent.
heard of did you see the news last week about the Tunisia, Algeria, and Libya creating like a regional coalition?
I saw you tweeting
Yeah.
about it, but it was vague on details. I'm not sure what the deal
At the
is.
moment, I think it's just mainly like gas exporting and stuff like that. You know, certain like agreements collaborating on groundwater and other
Hmm.
resources and whatever. Um, but closer working. And I think
Hmm.
the fact that it happened and it was such a public, obviously, these are things that publicity stunts because of the real discussions happen behind closed doors and not on
Hmm.
camera, right? They come and meet for a day, take some
Hmm.
photos. They're not really going to do anything there or agree much there. But
Yeah.
I love it. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, great. More. I want more of that. Obviously, some people are pessimistic and stuff, and I don't know why. Um, I think mainly, you know, they just think that no good can ever come of anyone or anything. But it's like, well, shut up. People live here and they
Hmm.
deserve good things to happen. Like real people live here.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great. Yeah, more
Yeah. Inshallah, something
inshallah.
comes
Yeah,
out of
I
it.
remember it set me on like a bit of a history thing where, like in the 70s, I found out that this was going to happen. A more unified actual country was going to happen. Gaddafi even proposed a flag. I remember seeing the flag. I don't know what happened. It kind of fell apart in the end. Um, but any energy towards that kind of cooperation, unity, closer working together, I'm all for it. I think more of it should be done. If we could,
Yeah. Obviously, they didn't include
well,
Morocco and
Morocco would,
Mauritania,
yeah,
but
Morocco would love to be in it. Sure, and I don't think they'd say no. But
well, they would only love to be in it if
I
Algeria
don't think
wasn't in it.
it's, I don't think it's it's that way around. I think it's the other way around. I think because from what I see, a lot of obviously Algeria has an issue with Morocco and Morocco likewise. But from what I see from Moroccan rhetoric in terms of the king speaking and stuff, he's very open to working with Algeria. He just seems to be that Algeria is like, no, not until you do X, Y, Z, right? But
That's
may
one
Allah
side of the
rectify
story.
that relationship, I think, because I think it's a shame. And
I mean,
obviously, there's I'm going to both sides. I'm going to say there's faults on both sides. I'm not even going to get into the details because I don't think I'm well informed enough.
yeah.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, there might be faults on both sides. May Allah rectify the two nations and remove.
Yeah, obviously, bro, the people have no
Yeah,
interest in that.
yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos of
So,
Moroccans in Zaire, and they're like Khawa Khawa, and then likewise Zairian in Morocco. And it's just more of a
mm,
political thing and governments and rulers and stuff. Um, wouldn't it be a dream? I would love to one day in my lifetime just drive across, at least drive from Tunisia all the way to Morocco and then back. Now that I kind of have pit stops along the way,
yeah,
it'd be amazing. I'd
yeah,
love to
yeah,
do that.
yeah. My place will be one of the pit
Inshallah.
stops, definitely. But you just need the border to open
But this,
to get
this,
into
yeah, I know
Morocco. This
Morocco is
is
a
the
bit of a
problem.
stretch, but at least now maybe I mean, Zaire actually, the border between Tunis and Zaire is quite open. I don't know about Libya.
Yeah,
Libya's a bit
I think
okay
it's also
because I
open.
do
Yeah,
have a friend in Libya who has property there, so you never know.
it's probably more secure because of the war and
Mm,
everything, but I'm pretty sure it's solid
mm.
to step through. But yeah, if you want to go Algeria, Morocco, you got to go to Spain. If you have a car, Yani, you got to go Spain and then from Spain take the boat.
So
Yeah, it's
sad.
kind of mad. Like I've been there many times, by the way. I've
Really?
been to the border because there's a beach there which is like the best
Mm.
beach in the area, and in on the Moroccan side it's called Saida, I think,
Idea.
the beach, and Saidia or
Amazing.
Saida or something, and on the Algerian side it's we call
Okay.
it Porsi.
You
So
refuse to. They
so
refuse
you
to
can
even call it something similar. It's
yeah.
like no, that's not what it's called.
Yeah, so when you go there, you literally see the fence, the border fence,
So sad.
and there's a I don't know if I ever shared this on the podcast. There was, I think it's for some reason it stopped now, maybe because the border became even more like hardened and stuff. But there was this illegal petrol smuggling
Yeah.
business, which was a big business, which basically, so in the whole West Algeria region, and specifically all the guys that did this lived in this city called Maghnia, okay? So they would go early morning after Fajr or whatever, they would go to the petrol stations and they all have the same car, which is has the
Yeah.
biggest petrol tanks. And they'll have an extra petrol tank in the boot, filling in the boot, and they'll fill the car with petrol. They'll go to the border and they have some way of smuggling it across. I
Yeah.
don't know if they have pipes or they put it on a donkey or something, and they send it over the border, and then they'll go and fill up again, and they'll do like 4 or 5 of these a day. Now these guys, because time is of the essence, they drive extremely fast, like very dangerously, and many accidents happen. Like I don't know how many people they killed from driving like that. But you used to see them, and you know that it's them because all have the same car, and they basically drive like
Yeah.
they have a death wish. So yeah, they used to smuggle stuff from Algeria to Morocco, the petrol, and then the other direction they used to send some like contraband products like stuff you can't get in Algeria. Used to send it across, probably drugs as
Yeah.
well. I know that's always a thing. So
No,
yeah, but I think that's gone now. I think because in the last maybe 5 years ago or something, like before that there was some sort of way you could get through the border. It was very limited, but now it's like nothing,
we've got it on the other side, definitely.
So
Tunisia and Algeria, the fuel smuggling is, rife. Um, it hasn't really changed. I've never really fueled. My dad used to fuel up from those people, but I've never really done it because I just don't know what they're putting in it, and it's not my car.
how is fuel cheap in Tunisia, like from the
I
legit
don't
places?
remember. I don't really.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just tell them.
Because you guys don't have
No,
oil, right,
but
in
it
Tunisia,
must
or
be
you do
that
have a
there
bit?
is a market for cheaper oil, cheaper fuel, because obviously the Algerian fuel is being sold there in terms of the smugglers. If it was the same
Yeah.
price,
Actually, even Libya probably would
yeah,
have some
yeah.
cheap
If it
oil as
wasn't,
well. You got from
it
both
has to be more
sides.
pricey then, because otherwise there'd be no business for them. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've got to go, bro. So um, it's been
Yes.
nice catching up about.
I'll give you a debrief when I get back,
Yes,
inshallah.
please. Maybe you should film a little vlog, throw it on my
Oh.
Heist channel, or throw it on your
Oh.
own one. I'd love to see that. I want to see Ameen in
Hmm.
Darja, bro.
Maybe.
This is Ameen in Darja. This is me.
I'll do a vlog for you, and then maybe I'll put it on
All
YouTube.
right, all right then, inshallah.
Okay. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.